And dozens of people are injured and at least 2 are dead after a car rammed into a crowded Christmas market in the central eastern part of Germany. Police have arrested the driver, a 50-year-old Saudi Arabian doctor who has lived in Germany for several years. Local officials suspect this to be a deliberate attack. CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us now. So, Sam, let's talk about what authorities believe at this moment. Do they think that the suspect acted alone? And what are the next steps to try and determine motive?
Well, Lana, I'll stress we are in the very nascent stages of the investigation, but authorities at this juncture do believe that this was a lone actor, or what they call a lone wolf attack, and that this individual acted alone. However, they have yet to exploit this individual's devices, to look at his social media, and to truly confirm whether or not he was in touch with others and perhaps shared his plotting, tactics, or techniques. So very nascent stages of the investigation at this time.
And Sam, we have seen incidents like this before in Europe, one that almost entirely matches what we saw tonight that took place in 2016, just a little bit further away in Berlin. Does the fact that this happened speak to a security failure?
Well, having worked many of these lone wolf cases, I will tell you it is incredibly difficult to identify individuals who are mobilizing or radicalizing to violence on their own. So this is not necessarily a security failure. It speaks to the very, very complex threat environment. We do understand that this individual was not on law enforcement's radar, but unfortunately, again, in this complex threat environment, that is not entirely unusual.
Not on the radar, in many ways, does not seem to fit a profile that we would expect in a case like this, particularly the fact that he was a doctor. You think of doctors as taking an oath to do no harm. But Sam, I'm even just wondering, we've focused before on other holiday markets in Europe, but when it comes to lone wolves and people who have become radicalized, how difficult then is it anywhere in the world to secure big public events, times of festivities during the holidays?
Well, what we call mass gatherings during high-profile times like the holidays are notoriously difficult to secure, particularly if they are outdoors. When an event is outdoors, there are multiple entry points by land, by air, and otherwise for a bad actor to try to inflict harm. Now, many of these Christmas markets and other types of festivals in Germany and around the world do have vehicular barricades surrounding them. But the level of security is commensurate oftentimes with the threat assessment, but also what resources local law enforcement has available at the time. So securing these events is incredibly difficult, and there is not always an indication that the threat environment is heightened, not only because lone wolves operate so far below the radar in a lot of cases.
And Sam, talk to our viewers about the threat assessment in Germany at this moment, or leading up to this moment, rather, because you and I have talked about all of these different flashpoints that have inflamed tensions, particularly when it comes to different religious groups around the world. What was it like in terms of a threat assessment in Germany? How concerned were German authorities about the threat of terrorism?
Well, just to be clear, we don't know this individual's motivation at this time. He may have been motivated by personal grievances. He may have been motivated by extremist ideology. I will say this type of attack does have the landmark traits of Islamic terrorism in other forms, like the 2016 Berlin attack that you mentioned. The threat environment in Germany and in Europe and really globally is incredibly heightened right now based upon a range of developments, including Hamas's terrorist attack against Israel on October 7th, over a year ago, as well as Israel's operations in Gaza and in other parts of the Middle East. That has led to really a proliferation of extremist recruitment and retention around the world in an even more heightened threat environment. But more broadly, the threats of lone actors and small groups of individuals quickly radicalized to violence has increased significantly over the past few years.
And Sam, absolutely right. We are still waiting to hear from authorities what the likely motivation was for this attack, but they do believe that it was deliberate. And part of that belief comes from the fact that, as Haley pointed out, there were actual explosives that this individual had accessed. What does that tell you about potential motivation or a desire to inflict harm?
Well, again, it doesn't speak really to why this individual radicalized to violence and mobilized to violence. It does speak to the fact that the individual wanted to inflict mass casualties and planned and prepared to do so. Access to a vehicle is fairly easy. Driving a vehicle into a crowd does not take a lot of planning other than identifying a spot. But packing explosives into a vehicle, acquiring explosives, that takes more time and speaks to a heavier degree of planning and preparation ahead of this attack and a desire to inflict mass casualties.
All right, Sam Vinograd, thank you.
Thank you.